Welcome to my review of an episode of Game of Thrones that most of you probably already saw about a month ago. The good thing is, though, is that we're back on track. And listen, regardless of whether it was right or wrong to watch the leaks, if you did, I think we could agree that, for the most part, these 4 episodes, they were good. They had some good content in them, but they weren't that big of a deal. Like, if episode 8, 9, and 10 would have leaked, then what the fuck? I'm really enjoying the dynamic duo between Jaime and Bronn. They're both really, really witty, and they have really snarky remarks. Obviously, Jaime's more serious because it's Marcella who's on the line. And Bronn kind of already knows. It's your niece? I don't think so. That's your daughter. But now Bronn is the better fighter. And, the thing about the fight scene is that it doesn't just look badass. It's also really funny. There's a comedic touch to it. Was there a shot where it looked like Bronn just cut a horse's balls off? Because I was like, I need to check I'm good. Poor horse, man. But before that, though, they actually passed by Tarth, so shout out to Brienne. There was a really interesting comment from Jaime saying that if he ever sees Tyrion again, he's gonna kill him. Do you think he means it, though? There was this other part where Jaime says that if he were to die, he would like to die in the arms of the woman that he loves. I took it as foreshadowing. Does that mean that Jaime's gonna die? But then again, this is Game of Thrones, and stuff that you think is gonna happen doesn't, and then the stuff that you never expect actually does. Then we go to Cersei, and this was a huge power play episode for her. It's basically like a huge fuck you to Marjorie. In just one episode, she actually sends Lord Tyrell, Marjorie's father, to Braavos. And she's all like, oh, we're concerned about your safety, so we're gonna send Meryn fucking Trant as your security guard. Meryn fucking Trant, according to the Hound in the previous season, he sucks. And these Braavosi, you have to remember, they don't care. The people in the Iron Bank, they're in Essos. That's outside Westeros' jurisdiction. So she obviously did this to get Lord Tyrell the fuck away from King's Landing. And then Littlefinger's coming back. But there's another question. Throughout this season, Sansa has been referred to as Sansa Stark, not Elaine Stone, which is the alias that she adopted for her protection. So how the hell does Cersei not know that Littlefinger or Sansa is in the north now? Especially because Sansa's about to marry Ramsay. So I just think Cersei should know this. It's how do you not know this? Not that she would do anything about it, because remember, Roose Bolton said in the previous episode that the people in King's Landing, they've never sent armies that far north. Then Cersei gives the High Sparrow some type of military authority so they can start cleaning house. And what she's doing is really smart, because instead of allowing the crown to have all power, she's kind of that division between church and state. Cersei's kind of right now I think the church should have a certain amount of power, because if I'm not in power, I need to play my cards right so that I at least have a lot of influence. So they imprison Loras because he's gay, and that's not acceptable within the context. It's kind of funny how Cersei says, there's a sinner, around us. And I'm like, bitch, you fucked your twin brother. You're good? You're good? By the way, Tommen is a total puppet. He can't do anything. He doesn't even know what's going on. Do you and Mom not get along? The thing about his character, and this is something I barely noticed in this episode, is that even though I know that he's extremely naive, I can really understand where he's coming from. Marjorie, of course, gets really frustrated, and I think in this episode she realizes that she's way in over her head. She's like, I can't play this game alone. I need to call Grandma.
The scene with Stannis' daughter is actually one of the most heartwarming scenes I've seen in this series. I thought it was actually the best scene of this episode, because it just serves to humanize Stannis that much more. And they keep bringing up grayscale, so you know that shit's going to be important somewhere down the line.
We go to Jon, and he eventually decides to ask the Boltons for men, because Sam said that they barely had 50?
Not really sure what the Boltons are going to do, because they need men as well if the fucking other houses rise up against them, but whatever. Melisandre walks in, and we get a nice shot of her breasts. She starts saying some pretty creepy things, as always. She's like, oh, there's power within you. Just embrace it. What is he? The Hulk or something? He turns her down, which, that must have been really, really hard, because Jon loves redheads. So she leaves, and then the last thing she says, just creep the fuck out of me. You know nothing, Jon Snow. That's Ygritte's line. I don't know how the fuck she knew that. That's fucking crazy. Get out of here.
There's actually something very serious that I need to say about that scene connected with 2 other scenes, but if you're just a show-only watcher, you're not going to get it, so I'm going to leave that till the end, because it could be considered a possible spoiler. We go to Winterfell, and we see Sansa light a candle for her aunt, Lyanna Stark. And Littlefinger's like, I'm out. I gotta go to King's Landing. See ya. And let me just say this. Because of the interviews that the actors who play Sansa and Ramsay have done and what they said in those interviews. Plus, I think I know what they're doing with Sansa's character. They're combining a character that's in the books that actually does get married to Ramsay, and they're giving that role to Sansa, but keeping the character of Sansa. If Sansa plays that role, and I have to tell you guys this because last year with the whole Jaime and Cersei ambiguous rape scene, the internet was up in arms. I have to tell you, if they go in the direction that I think this is going in, abuse is coming. It's not going to be pretty for Sansa. It's going to be pretty fucking horrible. I mean, I'm hoping I don't have to see that shit, but the actors have said it gets pretty fucking abusive. It's like they actually said like these scenes were really, really hard to shoot.
We finally get introduced to the Sand Snakes, at least a portion of them, because in the books there were way more than just 3. The one with the short hair and the double daggers, her name is Tyene Sand. The one with the whip, I think she's the prettiest personally. Her name is Nymeria, but they call her Nym for short. And the one with the fucking spear is Obara. I think they know that Jaime's in Dorne, so they're going to go and capture Marcella.
We have Tyrion in this episode too, and I think that because he's in that little boat next week, or pretty soon, we're going to get that shot of him like looking up to the sky and seeing Drogon and just flying around, and his jaw's going to drop. But what I really like about this scene is that he basically infers everything there is to know about Jorah Mormont by just looking at his items and the stuff that he's wearing and stuff. It's like crazy. You look like a guy who's been friend-zoned. You hope the queen pardons you and executes me. I see the reverse is just as likely. Then, of course, we get the cliffhanger of Ser Barristan and Grey Worm dying. Because I still think that maybe... I mean, I know this is Game of Thrones, but maybe one of the two can survive. Both of these guys were putting in work, so I gotta give props. It's like, no wonder they're the Khaleesi's guards. It's like, these dudes, at the end, they were outnumbered, and this whole thing still ended in a massacre. And I know that Barristan is significantly older, but both of them are bosses, but there was this one part where Grey Worm was fighting with a blade stuck to his abdomen. I'm like, that's some boss-ass shit. And then he's the one who saves Barristan from getting his throat cut. So what I think is going to happen is that Dany's going to get way too worried about the possibility of losing anybody else in her inner circle, and she's going to reopen the fighting pits to give the people what they want. That's it for me. The only thing that's left to talk about is like the spoilery theory. And if you want to stay, go ahead. If you don't, just leave me a like. I really appreciate that. I will give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. In this one episode, we have Melisandre talking about how Jon is special. That's number 1. Then we have Sansa talking about how Rhaegar Targaryen was this asshole who kidnapped Lyanna and raped her. And we get like this contradicting view because Barristan says that Rhaegar didn't really like war. He liked, singing. He was a musician. A make love not war type of guy. The only difference is that Sansa knows about him from what she's heard, but Barristan actually knew Rhaegar. I'm pretty sure that Melisandre knows the truth too, because the way that she's been treating Jon, it's just way too fucking convenient. It's like, I think she knows. I mean, she's all for supporting Stannis, the one true king, but, R plus L equals J. It's so obvious. It's nasty how obvious this is. Thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing and commenting and sharing your thoughts about this episode. I really appreciate all that stuff you do. Catch you guys later. Bye. We're all cut up now.